Alright, I managed to unmount the left PCB from the chassis of the Philco, as you can see. Now, to undo the chassis, you need to do the following thing. As you can see here, there is this part, which is a connector to the tuner box, which is up there inside the chassis. So I will point at it. So this box, and to the box there is connected this high frequency wire with, I would say, kind of a kinch type connector. So you need to undo this connector first before you pull it out, or before you pull the PCB out of the chassis. And while you disconnect this from the tuner up there, you have to be careful not to damage any other part. Now, it turned out this connector was connected up to the tuner rather stiffly. So what I did was actually use a pair of pincers, these, with a curved beak, and I gripped inside this connector by the neck, and then I used the sides of the tuner box as a fulcrum point to lever the pliers down, as it were, and push the point of the pliers up, which effectively levered the kinch connector out of the tuner. But while you're doing that, you have to pay extreme attention not to damage any wires or parts inside the chassis. So the longer curved pliers you have, the better it is. If you have, I could say, curved needle nose pliers, but with very long nose pins, let's say, then that would be a lot better than this one. I mean, this is just a small needle nose plier, and it just did the trick, but had it been a lot smaller or shorter, it wouldn't have worked. So, once you've got this disconnected, this plug, you need to undo 6 screws of this type. It has a hexagon head and a washer, and it's a, I would say it's type of quick lock bolt or nut screw. I don't know how you what the exact name of this type of screw is, but it has a bolt head and a quick lock thread. So anyway, there are 6 of these, and you need to undo each of them. You've got no choice. So there's one up here, then there's one down there, then there are 2 in the middle, and then there are 2 at the bottom, as you can see over there. So when you undo those 6, the PCB you see in my hand right now just flips out like this. So if you stand the chassis up, it will drop down. But, well, of course you shouldn't let it drop of its own accord. You have to sort of help it down, so not to damage it. Anyway, now that I have this PCB out of the chassis, I can say 2 things. One, working on this PCB will be a lot easier now that it's out of the chassis. So that's a good thing. I will be able to reach these capacitors you see here, and which in my opinion I would do good to change or to replace. Then there is the big fat electrolytic you see here, which in my opinion definitely needs replacing. The inside is rather dirty, but that was to be expected, of course, so I don't think that will cause too much problems. Also, what I notice is that the stand, which normally holds the picture tube, is bent. As you can see, somebody in the past must have put that much pressure on it that it's bent completely backwards. So instead of standing like this, it's bent like this. So sooner or later I will have to disconnect this or unmount this and bend it back to its right angle, which might be a tricky job because I have to align it precisely with the opening in the head, the projector head. So that will ask quite a bit of doing. Anyway, so the next thing to do for me is to identify all the capacitors that need to be changed, make a short list of them, and then an inventory of the parts that I own, and see which ones I can readily replace. If I don't have all of them, well, then I'll be forced to order them. By the way, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll point to them. You see two old type of diodes. You see here, you see this one, and then you see that one over there. So these are the, let's say, vintage equivalent of what we nowadays would call a 1N4007 diode. I think, although I'm not sure, these are germanium diodes and not silicium diodes. Actually, these two are used as a rectifier for the power which comes from this small power transformer down there. I seem to remember that there is also a fuse, and if I remember correctly, watching one of Bob's of the B. Anderson TV channel videos, the fuse is inside this tube. I don't know if it's good, but let's go ahead and measure it out. Why not? Okay, I need two crocodile clamps. So let me take two. So put one here. Then I put the other one there, like this. And then I put the crocodile clamps on the test leads of my multimeter. Let's watch what the meter says. It's okay, I think you can see it now, and there we go. Yep. Okay, so the fuse measures good. So that's good news. Temporarily, therefore, I won't need to change or to replace the fuse, which is perfect. That saves me a little bit of work. And anyway, if I can, I will try to keep the parts which are in here more or less authentic, which of course implicitly forces me to sort of salvage these tubes, the tubes which are around the paper caps, and mount new caps inside. Oh dear, oh joy. But well, okay, I suppose a Philco Safari is rare enough to at least try and make an effort of changing, of keeping it as authentic as possible. Also, what will definitely need to be repaired is the battery connector. As you can see, one of the wires of the connector just let go. So I'll need to repair that one too. Fine. Well, that's it for now. I'll be back with a last update for this episode on the inventory I made, and then I'll publish it on my channel. So stay tuned, guys.